Hi, welcome back to our channel. I'm Dr. Patty.
Hi, Dr. Angela.
And it's the holiday season, which means that there's lots of sugar all around us. So we wanted to talk to you today a little bit about sugar alternatives and natural sugars and why we crave sugar. And even
Sugar's always a big deal, but it's
Yeah.
especially a big deal around the holidays somehow.
But really for me, I know it's been a struggle and something I work on. And so it's more so during the holidays, but it's a topic all year round and with a lot of our patients as well. So, this is my own personal journey in terms of nutrition, but my ultimate goal is to really not do any kind of sugars. I tend to have some hormonal imbalances and blood sugar imbalances, and so I like to be really very mindful of that. And my body just does better when I'm not doing any sugar at all. So in terms of an all-natural sugar substitute, I really like stevia. And when I'm being really strict in terms of my nutrition, and this is my own personal nutrition journey, I won't even do any fruit. And so when I'm doing, pretty much just like fish and vegetables and healthy fats, a little bit of stevia feels very satisfying. So I really like it.
That's funny. I really hate stevia, but we'll talk about it.
I know. I roll. Did you catch that? So I have a solution for you, and I've mentioned this to her off camera before, but she refuses to listen to me.
It's because everyone I've tried has been gross, but I do need to try it.
So I really like this brand of stevia called Sweet Leaf. It's really hard to see on camera. It's quite reflective, I'm sure. But it's called Sweet Leaf. They come in these drops, and I've also tried other stevia extracts, and they do tend to have a little bit of a bitter aftertaste.
It's the aftertaste.
Yeah, so this is, don't get it twisted. It's not going to taste like white sugar, but I really enjoy it. And I enjoy putting a couple drops in my beverage, or for those on a more high-fat diet or a keto diet, if they're making fat bombs with coconut oil, you could add a couple drops of the stevia. So I really enjoy it. So I'm going to get Dr. Angela over here to try this and see what she thinks.
Yeah, I will try it before I go today, and I'll let you guys know what I think. And the positives of stevia, it's zero, sugar calorie at all. So that's wonderful. So if you like the taste, it's a really good alternative to sugar, and you can bake with it just as easily and, put it in your all kinds of recipes. So do give it a try. Don't be discouraged just because I don't love it.
It's very individual. The whole point of our channel and natural medicine is to really understand and that medicine and health is very individual.
Absolutely.
So same thing with nutrition and food.
Yes.
So if you don't want to do stevia, what do you do?
My personal favorites, if I'm trying to have a sugar alternative that's 0 calorie and, natural, I like more of the sugar alcohols. So more of the Xylitol or Erythritol. They taste the most like sugar to me. They're not quite as sweet on my tongue as actual sugar, but there's no aftertaste. I've got a very sensitive palate that way, and so I don't notice the bitter afterbite. So I prefer it. You can get some gas and bloating if you use too much, so mindfulness around that. But it's very easy to mix into your coffee or tea. If you have caffeinated beverages, you can take it to your coffee house with you. You can bake with them as well. They're just powdered granules as well.
But keep an eye on that gas and bloating.
Yeah, just notice
that.
Pay attention as you're eating. And it doesn't happen in the smaller quantities, but if you're using large amounts, heads up.
Yeah. And I think xylitol and erythritol are used a lot in diabetic, low sugar candies and chocolates and things like that.
Yes.
So you might have seen it around there.
And in Europe, they use it quite a bit in chewing gums. It really helps prevent dental caries and prevent ear infection. So there's other health properties to xylitol.
It does make me a little gassy, so I tend to avoid it.
See, our personal favorites.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention monk fruit.
Yes.
Or lohan, it's also known as. And it's very close to stevia in the sense that it's a plant-based sweetener, and it's been used in China for over 800 years and has medicinal properties. And it is known to be a little bit better tasting than stevia, so a little bit less of an aftertaste, but also 0 calorie, 0 glycemic index. So a great option if you're someone who is not wanting to do any sweeteners, natural or otherwise.
Stay on a ketogenic diet or something like that.
Yeah, so that's a great alternative as well. Now, moving away from the 0 calorie natural sweeteners, there's also natural sugars.
Yes.
So one is honey, for instance. I know Dr. Angela and I get asked about honey in our practice all the time. And sometimes people, will eat a lot of honey and think they're doing great, but it's still a sugar.
It's still sugar. And so this is so important because it's natural, like it's got to be good for us or better for us. And there are immune properties, to honey, but it is still sugar. And so it's about halfway on the glycemic scale between the 0-calorie sweeteners and sugar, but we still have to be mindful that it's sugar. I know at times when I've been fighting a little something, if I've got a bacterial infection of any kind, like a UTI, if I put honey in my tea, pretty quickly, within 30 minutes, I can feel that shift in my body. And so we just really want to be mindful that sugar is still sugar, even if it's half of the load.
Yes. And if you are going to do honey, we recommend something like a Manuka honey. Also very hard to see on camera, but it has a number that comes on the label, and you want to get the one that has the highest number, and that shows that it has the most antimicrobial and medicinal properties. But again, if you've got a little bit of an infection or your immune system is fighting something, this also can still feed that infection or lower your immune system. So even though it's all natural, just be mindful and listen to your body.
Yeah, so some of the other natural sweeteners that, we also want to be mindful of are things like coconut sugar.
About 50 on the glycemic index, so definitely less than white sugar.
Absolutely.
It is all natural and a little bit better for your whole metabolic system, but coconut sugar is great. I also recommend dates for some patients. Dates are great because it's an actual whole food and it's full of great minerals. And you can just throw one in your smoothie to sweeten up a smoothie naturally. A lot of desserts can be made with chopped up dates or mixing dates into the dessert. So just a very good all natural sweetener. But again, very sweet, concentrated sweetness. So see how you do with them and how it affects your blood sugar.
Yep. Maple syrup would be another one that comes up, frequently that I hear my patients ask about. And so all of these I've kind of put in the same category of okay, in moderation, but it really depends on what we're working on. If there's something going on like PCOS, where we've got to be very careful with sugar load, or diabetes or borderline, we've just got to be really mindful that even though these things are natural, they're still going to spike blood sugar.
And that it's very individual.
Yes.
Health and especially nutrition is so individual. And one person with diabetes, for instance, may be able to do a little bit of fruit and be fine. And another person, just a little bit of fruit may spike their blood sugar.
Yeah.
So there is no one set, okay, this is for everyone and this is not for everyone. So very individual in that way, but these are some options for you to try.
Yeah.
Definitely better than white sugar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to talk a little bit about, why we might be craving sugars as well, just to bring attention to the fact that there's different reasons. And so we need to explore different avenues if it's an issue, because cognitively, I think we all know that sugar is not the healthiest food for us, but it's a big struggle for most of us as we're working with diet to really limit sugars. It's a favorite. So.
Yeah. I know with myself and with patients, one thing to look at, and it's a little bit of a cliche, and you may have heard people say this, but you may crave sugar because you're craving sweetness in your life. But I think that actually is a really great metaphor. When we get stressed or we're feeling a sense of lack or underappreciated or overwhelmed in our lives, just psychologically and emotionally, we may reach for sugar because that's just a quick way to get a little bit of nurturing. Yeah. And so maybe take a moment to look a little deeper, to think, why am I craving this? I need to do a little more self-care. I need a little bit more time to myself. So that's one thing to look at.
I think it's huge. And then it's kind of the chicken or egg thing, because in terms of just our hormones and our neurotransmitters, often if things like dopamine are low or serotonin are low, we're going to crave sugar because sugar helps boost those neurotransmitters. But so it's if we're blue and we're feeling sad or we're overwhelmed, is it, what came first? And, sugar will definitely feed that loop, but just the mindfulness around it. Yeah. Another one too, I really have experienced this one quite a bit. If your adrenals are off, if your cortisol levels are off, and you don't eat frequently or very specifically, you know, it's the protein and fats, things to help kind of stabilize blood sugar. We don't regulate blood sugar as well when our cortisol levels are off. And so wanting sweet things very frequently, that can happen because you get kind of hypoglycemic, that kind of hangry feeling starts to happen. So that can be a big reason.
And, you know, adrenal fatigue, adrenal dysfunction, and we are going to do a larger video on this, but people think about adrenals or cortisol or your stress hormone, especially related to energy and mood. But I don't think everyone remembers all the time that cortisol is very closely related to our blood sugar regulation. So it's not just about how much energy we have or if we're fatigued or not. It makes a real difference in terms of how balanced our blood sugar is. So if we're stressed and dealing with adrenal issues, that will definitely affect our blood sugar. So as Dr. Angela mentioned, more healthy fats and protein, and we'll get a little bit more into strategies as well.
Yeah, and another big one like we don't think about, but it's huge, is even thinking about like seasons and light. As we go into wintertime and there's less light in the day, serotonin levels do drop, and that can be another big reason for sugar cravings. So if you find yourself like it's like late night sugar cravings, or just going into winter you're having more sugar cravings, thinking about neurotransmitters would be a bigger, you know, area to focus on.
And what about if you're somebody who craves sugar with PMS, or what is that?
Yeah,
what does
so
mean?
that can also sometimes mean that we're having a little bit of a serotonin drop when our hormones drop off very dramatically, especially estrogen dropping off dramatically. That can be another reason for sugar craving due to serotonin dropping. Yeah.
Lots of causes here. So some things that we can do to address the sugar cravings and you know, why we're wanting that sugar so badly is obviously working on balancing our hormones.
Yes, huge. Yeah.
And working on maybe some of the serotonin precursors, as Dr. Angela mentioned. What are some of those that you prescribe to your patients?
So first of all, just even from a dietary standpoint, if you have a lot of amino acids and protein in your diet, you're going to have those precursors to make those neurotransmitters. But if you feel like you need like quickie boost, things like tryptophan or 5-HTP can help with the serotonin piece very quickly.
Great.
And you can also use tyrosine if it's a dopamine issue that's causing, you know, the sugar cravings. You can kind of play around with some of those.
Great. So anything else that you want to mention before we finish off?
Yeah, I mean, just I think in terms of the strategy, we kind of said it earlier, but just to recap, the whole, you know, using a little bit more protein and fat consistently in your diet can help, you know, blood sugar dropping off and just keeping you a little bit more stable. That can be a great place to go. And, you know, making sure you're dealing with the stress.
Absolutely.
And if you're doing these things and you're still just really struggling, that's really a time to go see your naturopathic doctor or your integrative doctor and just do a little bit more workup to try to figure out what the root cause of your sugar craving is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for watching our video. Try some of these sugar alternatives if you're just trying to clean up your diet or get a little bit healthier. And if you're someone who's really craving sugar, maybe look at some of the pieces that we talked about. And if you liked this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and share the video with anyone you think might enjoy it. Subscribe to our channel.
Absolutely. Check out the description box because we always put more details there for you. And then if you have overcome sugar addiction, or if there's, you know, strategies that have been super helpful for you, put those in the comments section so that all of the community can learn together. We'll see you back here soon. Thanks for watching.
Wishing you a very sweet day and season.
Bye.